So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I anchor my standard deviation projections for daily power 3 moves. Here I just drew out two examples that I'm going to go over before I show you guys actual examples on the charts. But here for a bearish day, so bullish manipulation, bearish distribution. Here we have our accumulation period and then our manipulation run. So we'll anchor our deviations from that accumulation low to either in the daily scenario, we use 5-minute or 15-minute break a structure that starts that price run. So here we have that break that starts that manipulation run. And then we have our -2, -2.5 deviations aligned with a higher time frame point of interest that you have. This can either be aligned with the -2 or our -4 deviations. But then once you run that point of interest for that manipulation move, you then wait till we get just a break of structure to the downside. In this case, that starts that distribution run. So then you just anchor from the high to that low. That is that break of structure. And those are your projections for bearish day. Then just a bullish day, we have accumulation period, accumulation high, break that starts that manipulation move down into our high time frame point of interest that we have aligned with our reversal deviations. Then we get our break to the upside for our distribution move, anchored from low to that break. And those are your projections for bullish day. And then real quick, if you get SMT up here, I always anchor from that SMT high in this case. So I'd anchor like that. Same for bullish SMT, right? I'd anchor from this low to that break, like that. But yeah. Now I'm gonna go over a few examples on the actual chart. Here we have today. Today was a pretty good example. We had our bearish SMT with this high, and then our lower time frame-ish SMT here. So we'd anchor from right accumulation period, accumulation high, the SMT that started that price run down. So accumulation high to that 15-minute break, right? SMT, accumulation high to that break. So those would have been the projections for today. Oh yeah, and then also right, we have our 4-hour higher time frame PD array aligned with our -2, -2.5 reversal deviations. So those would have been the projections for today and how you would anchor them. That was a bank holiday. So here we have our accumulation period, right? Accumulation high that ran the highs and then started our manipulation move down. So, right, accumulation high to that break, right? 5-minute or 15-minute. In this case, it was 5-minute and borderline 15-minute. But those would have been the projections for Friday. And then Here we have our high time frame PD array, right? High time frame PD array aligns with our -3.5, -4 max expansion deviations. That gets ran, and then we get our distribution to the upside. So, right, that low to 15-minute break. That starts our move up. -1 reaccumulation, right? And then delivery to -2. Here, right? Higher time frame bearish SMT with that CPI high, and then lower time frame bearish SMT. So accumulation period high, manipulation move. So, right, anchored from accumulation high. I did the left side breaker structure. You could have done this one right here, but I anchored from this left one because this was my point of interest for us to manipulate, right? These relative equal lows within this 30-minute fair value gap. Right? So our higher time frame PD array with significant lows, right? As that was our PM kill zone low. So significant lows, relative equal lows, and our reversal deviations within this 30-minute busy. Manipulated to, and then we get our 15-minute break to that starts our distribution, right? And then you get that -1 retracement for the continuation to -2 off that news gap. But and then here we have CPI. So as you can see, we have a shit ton of bearish SMT on these highs, and this was our accumulation period, right? And then we manipulated this untouched new weekly opening gap. So it was obvious with all this bearish SMT that we were gonna manipulate to the downside. Since there was high impact news, this was CPI. We were just waiting for that. Here on the 5-minute, right, we anchor from the Newswick high since that swept that recent high, and then 5-minute break, right? And then we see we have our max expansion -4 aligned with the new weekly opening gap 50%. And then you got ES and YM SMT that started that price delivery back to data highs. Here, remember from the examples I showed earlier, SMT, so anchor from that's SMT high to this break, right? Displaced on the daily opening gap, right? We just displaced right through that low. -2 reversal deviations aligned with these significant lows. Why are they significant? Because they are London lows. They're all equal. And then also we had this higher time frame PD array, which was the 4-hour busy, but We missed it by ticks, but we created SMT with ES. ES dug into its 4-hour, but NQ didn't. So we got that bullish SMT in the reversal deviations that started that distribution move back up. But ran the lows, SMT almost, I guess, in that PD array. But then we have, right, our move up. So low, anchor from low to that 5-minute break, right? -1, got that reaccumulation off the BISI at 5-minute, and then got continuation to -2, and then had SMT that gave SMT in those reversal deviations that gave you a discount retracements. Here, this was news, high impact news as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was NFP. But right, you accumulated all night. This was your 8:30 news, created news high, news low. At open, you came and ran not only news high, but ran this week's, previous week's high. Ran that previous week high, and then displaced straight through that data low. So we'd anchor from that's this high that swept previous week to that news wick low. And then, unfortunately, it got delivery to -2 on the new weekly opening day. On Sunday, just gapped down straight to -2. Which was -2 aligned with this London low, and then you created SMT. You also had this clean 1-hour inverse, so higher time frame PD array, significant low, SMT, and your deviations. Same with here, right? Starting your move up. Break, that starts that move up. And then you got that reaccumulation for -1, continuation -2, and then ultimately -3. Here, we had break here. Hold up. Five-minute. Got that 5-minute break. 5 and borderline 15-minute break. Which was, we ran this max expansion, and then got, right, max expansion break that started our move up. And then it was sloppy since it was the day before NFP, but you did end up getting that delivery to our -2 area, even though it was sloppy as shit. But here, I'll just, this will probably be my last example. I feel like it's pretty simple. You guys should have it. Like, you just go and forward test it and fuck around. Like, it's nothing crazy. It's just the break of structure that starts whatever price run you're trying to project. But here, right, SMT high, break, -2, -2, yo, am I tripping? Oh, okay. 1 hour inverse, clean inverse again, that lined with those -2, so there's your high time frame PD array, 1 hour inverse. Along with just this this 15-minute order block and this 15 minutes busy. You got this 15-minute busy along with this 15-minute, this 15-minute order block. And then break that starts your move up, right? You had that -1 reaccumulation and then -2 disrespected -2 and then got that delivery right into close to -3, -4. So those are all the examples I'm gonna show you guys in this video. Should be pretty straightforward. Again, it's just the break of structure that starts your manipulation or distribution run. Just go ahead and forward test with it and back test, and fuck around with it once you guys figure it out. It is pretty simple to use, and if you guys have any more questions or whatnot, need any more examples, just let me know in the Discord.